how many of you are picking coins up off the ground when you see them? And if you're not picking coins up off the ground when you see them, listen to this story, you might change your mind. Thank you so much for watching. Today I'm going to share a story that I read about in The Numismatist. The Numismatist is a magazine. I'm not even very familiar with it, to be honest. I saw this magazine at a coin shop when I went there, but I read this story and it was super fascinating. So this story is about a guy who collects coins, and in the 60s, he was on his porch and he found a 1943 steel cent just in the dirt. Just on his porch, and looked down and he saw a penny in the dirt, so he picked it up and put it away. Years later, he was reading about 1943 steel cents, and the article that he was reading said in order to test them to make sure that they're genuine, you want to run a magnet over them. And so he lined up all of his steel cents and he ran a magnet over them twice, it said in this article. There was one coin in particular that didn't stick to the magnet. Now, a side note about that, usually if you're using a magnet to check to see if your coins are genuine, you're wanting to make sure that your coin does not stick to a magnet. However, in 1943, when the U.S. Mint was making the 1 cent coin, there was a worldwide copper shortage because of World War II. And so in 1943, they went away from the copper cent and they basically made the steel cent. It's like steel coated with zinc or something like that, steel plated with zinc. Those coins actually will stick to a magnet as long as they're genuine, unless it's some type of an error or counterfeit or something. So back to the story. He's running his magnet over his coins. All of them are sticking to the magnet except one. So he gets a hold of one of his friends over at the A&A, and this guy says, oh, well, it's probably a foreign planchet error. Okay, so he sends the guy a list of all of the planchets that the U.S. Mint used to mint coins in that time frame. And he's going through and he's basically looking at the diameter and the weight, and none of these planchets matched up with his. And so he sends it to NGC, he knows something's up with it, sends it off to NGC and says, listen, will you guys please look at this coin? It's some type of error or something. Well, they graded it for him and it came back, I believe it was like XF details it was details damage is what it was. And they basically said, yeah, it's a steel cent that's damaged, and they put it in a slab for him and happily collected his money and sent it back to him. And that was the end of that. Well, then he gets a hold of a guy named Roger. Okay, Roger Burdett is like an absolute super specialist with coins from that era. He's got a couple of books that he's written. The guy is a wealth of knowledge. I do not personally know him, but I've been reading his stuff forever, and I've talked to him and stuff on the forums. Anyways, Roger says, look, man, in 1943, before they really decided to roll with the steel cent, they were doing a lot of tests, testing a lot of different metals and a lot of different alloys and stuff like that to figure out what's going to be the best thing to mint this U.S. cent. He suggested to the collector that he then sends it off and gets it, he has the metal tested, metallurgist or whatever that word is. It gets tested and it comes back that this coin is made up of 85% tin and a couple of other elements. Okay, this is unheard of. This isn't even in the books. We don't know that, hey, we tested X amount of different metals. This is what the alloys were. So the guy finds out that this 1 cent is made of 85% tin. It's basically a tin cent. And then Roger advises him, hey, send it back to NGC again and suggest to them that they do their own metallurgy test, or whatever that's called. So he sends it to NGC again, lets them know, hey, this is what I found out so far, it's 85% tin. Will you guys go ahead and test the metal of it and attribute it accordingly? So that goes through, so he goes through that process. NGC ends up attributing this coin as an experimental planchet. Okay, guys? If you all know anything about the 1943 steel cents, you probably know that there's a handful that were struck on copper planchets. Well, this one was struck on a tin planchet. It's literally the only one known. We knew nothing about it before all this went down in like 2019 or whenever it was that he was trying to get it attributed with NGC. And so this coin is uber rare. Okay, I mean, we're talking like it is an ultra rarity. The guy found it in his front yard in the dirt, It's damaged, but it's like an uber rarity. So now it's in an NGC holder, and it says that this was an experimental Planchet, 85% tin, yada yada, whatever. This collector sends this coin to Heritage Auctions in 2020. Guys, the coin that he found in the dirt sold for over $5,000. That is right. You heard that right. He found a coin in the dirt, did a little bit of research, got it attributed, sent it off to an auction company, and it sold for over $5,000. That's going to wrap up this video, but tell me in the comments, does that change whether or not you pick up coins off the ground when you see them? I do.